Cheers. Alright guys, how are you all today? So today we're going to be getting into the case of Naziah Harris and Jarvis Butts. I'm going to go through the story just a little bit, and then I'm also going to talk about the sentencing and all of that happened yesterday.
Welcome to Tiff's True Crime Channel. Some stories have shadows that linger long after the case goes cold, and some questions demand answers. Join me as we deep dive into the cases everyone's talking about and uncover the details hidden between the lines. If you're ready to seek the truth, like and subscribe, and let me know what you think in the comments.
Imagine a family tree. Usually, it's a source of pride, right? Roots, branches, a sense of belonging and togetherness. But in Detroit, there was a family tree that wasn't a refuge. It was a hunting ground. At the center of it was a man named Jarvis Butts. A man who didn't just walk among this family. He deeply entangled himself in it, fathering at least 13 children with different women, including the aunts of the girl who would become his final known victim, Naziah Harris. Today, that is exactly who we're talking about, Naziah Harris. This beautiful young girl was only 13 years old. She was a girl who loved the Rugrats, as do I. She wore clear framed glasses and who, on the last day anyone saw her, just wanted to feel safe. But the person she reached out to for help was the very vulture who had been grooming her since she was 11. It's January 9th, 2024. 13-year-old Naziah is an 8th grader at J.E. Clark Preparatory Academy in Detroit. She's wearing a white sweater, light blue jeans, and a colorful Rugrats puffy jacket with a fur-lined hood. Her hair is also in 2 braided puffballs. But something is very wrong. Her substitute teacher noticed she seemed sad, even upset. She actually laid down on the floor and asked to see a counselor, but tragically, the counselor never came. That's very sad. That's what counselors are for. And who knows what she was going to need from that counselor, or was going to need to tell her or him. At 2:21 p.m., she sends a text to a man her family knew very well, Jarvis Butts. Don't forget, be there before 3. If you're not there, I will wait. And Jarvis replies with a simple, okay. He tells her to delete his number after she sees the message. And that was the last text she ever sent. To give you a deeper look into the history and psychology of Jarvis Ramon Butts, the sources reveal a man whose life was a vulturous cycle of predation and manipulation that spanned over decades. Jarvis Butts was born on November 21st, 1982, was far from a first-time offender when he encountered Naziah. His criminal record stretched all the way back to 1997. Most notably, he spent over a decade in prison from 2003 to 2014 for third-degree criminal actual conduct and weapons-related charges. Shockingly, even though he was paroled in 2012, records show he returned to his criminal behaviors almost immediately upon release. Jarvis didn't just target strangers. He embedded himself into families. He met Naziah's aunt, Sharon Harris, around 12 or 13 years ago, and eventually had 5 children with her. But the sources show his reach was much wider. He has at least 13 children in total with several different women. He was involved with multiple women simultaneously, including Shannon's twin sister, Marquita, and other baby mamas like Angel Leonard and Latricia, sorry if I pronounced that wrong. And despite being a registered sexual offender, he was often welcomed into homes where many children lived. Okay, so then you have a missing girl after school one day. And then after that, I think this is where the investigation takes a turn from a missing persons case into something much more sinister. The police start looking into Jarvis Butts' digital life. And what they found is the stuff of nightmares. Imagine this. A 13-year-old girl, Naziah, is missing. Her family's desperate. And then investigators find the messages. It turns out, since September of 2022, when Naziah was even younger, Jarvis had been sending her sexually explicit messages. You know where I'm going with that. I just don't think YouTube likes that word. But by September 2023, the tone had changed. Naziah texted him saying she missed her period. She was 13 years old and pregnant with his child, potentially. And the prosecutors, they didn't hold back. They called Jarvis vulturous. They said he groomed her with expertise. And then once he realized she was pregnant, he decided she was a problem that he needed to solve. Between December the 8th and 11th of 2023, just a month before she vanished, Jarvis's search history was a road map to murder. And you know where I'm going with that word also. He wasn't just searching for abortion pills. He was searching for how to off someone with red antifreeze. And this part is so terrifying. Red antifreeze contains ethylene glycol. It has a sweet taste, which is why it's so dangerous for children and animals. They don't know it's poison until it's too late. Prosecutors believed that this was his plan, to poison his own child and the 13-year-old girl carrying the baby. Let's take a look into the timeline of the disappearance. January 9th, 2024, Naziah was at school, but people noticed she wasn't herself, of course. And again, the teacher said she seemed sad, asked for the counselor. The counselor never came. That also blows my mind. Like, if someone's really sad and they need a counselor, and you can tell just by looking at them that they need a counselor, you should, rush the counselor up there. Or, if anything, just, recall that counselor, hey, this baby needs you. She's 13. She's young, and she's going through stuff right now. Pretty sure the last photo ever taken of her was on a school tablet that day. If I can find it, I'll put it here. Supposedly, by 3 o'clock p.m., Jarvis and his business partner, Cordell, sees her walking. She hops into Jarvis's truck to warm up because it was a cold Detroit day. But later that night, things get blurry. Jarvis borrows a blue Nissan Sentra from one of his many baby mamas, claiming he's taking his son somewhere. Instead, the phone pings, place him checking into the Park Crest Motel at 9:30 p.m. He's there until after midnight. The next day, when he returns the car, a woman sees a pair of clear frame glasses in the back. That's why the glasses are so important in this case, because they're in the back of that car. Her son starts playing with them, and Jarvis snatches them away, claiming they belong to his son. But you guys, Naziah wore clear frame glasses. Okay, and I'm going to fast forward to the sentencing. The sentencing revealed that Naziah was tragically just one of many victims. Jarvis pleaded guilty to charges involving 6 different cases. The victims included a 4-year-old and a 7-year-old, children aged 8, 9, and 13. Most devastatingly, the sources indicate that some of these victims were his own children. His sister, Tiana, and I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, expressed the family's horror during her statement, noting that Jarvis knew the pain of sex assault firsthand from her own history, yet he still chose to cause that to an innocent child, to his own children that have his own face. And then he chose to go with the chicken out plea instead of taking it to trial. While the prosecution was prepared to show that Jarvis was an expert at grooming who killed Neziah to solve the problem of her pregnancy, Jarvis chose to avoid a trial. Much like other notorious predators, Stephen Stearns comes to mind for me. He chickened out at the last minute and took a plea deal February 2026. This deal downgraded his charges from first-degree murder to second-degree murder. I feel so odd saying that. I'm going to have to find a different way to say that. At his sentencing on March the 12th, 2026, Jarvis refused to speak or offer any remorse. While he was sentenced to 35 to 60 years for the murder, the judge ordered the 10 to 15-year sentence for his 5 other sexual abuse cases to be served concurrently. This means that they will be served at the same time as his murder sentence. A decision that left many, including legal observers, feeling that justice was not fully served for all of his victims. I don't believe so. What do you think? At all. But as part of his agreement, he's legally required to provide a truthful statement regarding the location of Neziah's body, though her remains have still not been recovered. If I can find the paper where the prosecutor speaks about them being satisfied with what he has told them about where her body is located, I will put it right here. If not, I do apologize. And yet, to this day, Neziah has never been found. Her family has no grave to visit, no place to lay her to rest with dignity. We are all just waiting and hoping that this monster finally tells the truth, so this 13-year-old girl, this beautiful baby girl, can finally come home. What do you guys think? Do you think 35 to 60 years is enough for someone who targeted the most vulnerable? Multiple of the most vulnerable? Let me know in the comments. And as always, stay safe out there. Thanks. Bye.